They didn't invite me to my sister's wedding, said. It's better without you there. I said. Perfect, I'll be in Paris that weekend anyway. And then they saw my post and... You ever get that gut feeling before something actually happens? Like your brain picks up on details your heart hasn't caught up to yet. I had that feeling about my sister's wedding from the moment she got engaged. It wasn't anything obvious at first. Just little things. The way she'd talk around me when discussing plans. The awkward silences when I entered a room where she and my mom were whispering like middle schoolers. The fact that she never once asked me what weekends I was free, even though I lived 4 hours away and had a job that didn't exactly hand out vacation days like candy. Still, I brushed it off. Told myself I was being dramatic. She probably just hadn't finalized the guest list yet. Or maybe she assumed I'd be there no matter what. We weren't close, not really, but we were family. That counted for something, right? It wasn't until I saw the first Instagram post, a picture of her and her fiancé smiling with an ornate envelope in hand captioned, "Invites went out today. Can't wait to celebrate with everyone we love," that it started to sink in. I waited. A day. 2 days. A week. Nothing came. No invite. No text. Not even a courtesy call. It was my younger cousin Beth who accidentally confirmed it. She was buzzing with excitement at a family barbecue, waving her RSVP card like it was a golden ticket. "I'm wearing green," she said. "She told me it'll be an emerald-themed wedding. Super classy, right?" I didn't say anything. Just nodded and smiled, letting the words sit in my stomach like ice cubes in a glass of warm water. Cold. Jagged. Completely wrong. I left early that day, told everyone I had a migraine. But the real headache didn't hit until the following evening, when I got the text that changed everything. It was from my sister. Out of the blue. Just one line. "It's better without you there." That was it. No explanation. No softening the blow. Just a casual cruelty, like she was ordering takeout. And I don't know what came over me, but I replied instantly, before I could even think. "Perfect. I'll be in Paris that weekend anyway." It was a lie. A dumb, obvious lie. I had no plane ticket, no vacation plans, no passport that hadn't expired 2 years ago. But the second I hit send, something inside me shifted. Because maybe it didn't have to be a lie. The thing about lying is, once you do it with enough confidence, even you start to believe it. I stared at my phone for a good 10 minutes after sending that text, half expecting my sister to call my bluff. She didn't. She just left me on read. And that was the moment I decided, screw it. I was going to Paris. Not just to spite her, but to prove something. To myself, to them, to whoever else had spent years treating me like I was the family's leftover dish, the one nobody really liked but kept around out of habit. I'd been the blunt one, the black sheep, the one who didn't play the game right. I didn't fake smiles, I didn't smooth things over. I said what I meant. Apparently, that made me a problem. But now, I was about to become a very stylish problem. I spent the next 48 hours in a blur of planning and budgeting. I wasn't rich, not even close, but I'd been quietly saving for years. Not for anything specific, just something. Turns out, petty revenge makes an excellent something. I booked a last-minute round trip to Paris, not business class or anything luxurious, but it got me there. A modest hotel with a balcony and decent lighting for photos. I made restaurant reservations at places with menus I could barely pronounce and Googled walking routes near the Seine with the best views for golden hour selfies. Every single move I made was with one purpose in mind. Make it look effortless. Make it look serene. Make it look like I was thriving. I didn't post anything yet. That would come later. First I packed. And while stuffing sweaters and button-downs into my carry-on, I found myself thinking about all the birthdays I'd been skipped over for, all the favors I'd done without thanks, all the times my parents had told me to just be more understanding. Whenever my sister steamrolled right over me. They wanted a wedding without me? Fine. They'd get one. But what they wouldn't get was my silence. I landed in Paris the morning of the wedding rehearsal. Not the wedding itself. No, I had timed it perfectly. I wanted my posts to roll out in waves, each one like a pebble dropped into a pond, sending little ripples through the still surface of their carefully curated event. Quietly disruptive. Just enough to get under their skin. When I stepped off the plane, I was jet-lagged, sore, and questioning every decision I had ever made. But the moment I caught my reflection in the glass at the airport, hair tousled just right, coat sharp, sunglasses pulling their weight, I knew this was going to work. By midday, I had checked into the hotel, 4th floor, corner unit, wrought iron balcony with a view of the rooftops. The kind of place that made you feel like you belonged in a film. I tossed my bag down, changed into a crisp white button-up, and stepped out for my first, accidental, photo. A glass of wine. A basket of bread. The Eiffel Tower in the background, just blurry enough to seem casual. Caption. Some places heal without asking. It was like lighting a match. Within 20 minutes, my cousin Ellie liked the post. Then Uncle Rob. Then one of my sister's bridesmaids, who I hadn't heard from in 2 years. By evening, I had a photo under a string of cafe lights with a half-empty espresso cup and a book in my lap. Caption. Solitude tastes like espresso, strong and a little bitter. But better than pretending. That one hit a nerve. My phone buzzed again and again. I didn't respond to anything. Just let the notifications pile up. Meanwhile, back in the States, my sister had just posted a pre-wedding photo, her standing in a circle of bridesmaids, all matching robes and flawless lighting. It got likes, sure. But then someone commented, "Wait, why isn't my name in any of these? Thought you guys were super close." And another, "Not gonna lie, Paris is cooler than backyard weddings." I wasn't even halfway through my itinerary. The wedding hadn't even started yet. But the storm? The storm was just beginning. Saturday morning. Wedding day. I woke up to the soft chime of cathedral bells outside my hotel window. No alarm needed. I slid open the balcony door and stood there for a while, bare feet on the cool tile, a cup of dark coffee in my hand, watching the sleepy city stretch itself awake. Somewhere, thousands of miles away, my family was slipping into gowns and tuxedos, pinning corsages, posing for pictures, pretending they hadn't carved me out like I was a mistake they were correcting. I didn't feel sadness. I felt calm. At 11 a.m. Paris time, 5 a.m. in Boston, I posted again. A simple shot, me in a navy blazer, seated at a white-clothed table at Les Ambres, fork poised over a plate of smoked salmon and caviar, the Eiffel Tower framed perfectly behind me. Caption. To peace, to distance, and to learning who never deserved a seat at your table in the first place. The effect was instantaneous. That post didn't just ripple. It rippled. By noon, the comments were pouring in. Not just likes, engagement. People were tagging others. Wait, what happened? Is this shade? I need this kind of energy in my life. Better than any wedding I've ever seen. Then came the DMs. An old family friend messaged me. Just saw your post. Are you not at the wedding? One of my aunts replied to my photo with a heart emoji and the words. You look so peaceful. We missed you today. We. Interesting choice of pronoun. And then, at 1:17 p.m., right in the middle of what I assumed was the ceremony, my phone buzzed with a notification from Facebook. My mother had posted a group photo of the wedding party. I wasn't in it, of course. But the top comment? Beautiful. But where's your son? And right below that. Saw his Paris photos. He's glowing. I didn't respond. I didn't like anything. I didn't block or hide or delete. I just poured another glass of wine, sat back on my balcony, and watched my absence say more than my presence ever could. That night, the wedding reception kicked off. I knew because my cousin Mark, one of the few decent ones, sent me a photo from the dance floor. No caption. Just a blurry shot of people twirling under string lights, and in the background, my sister. Beaming. Champagne glass raised. I stared at it for a second. Then I noticed something. In the bottom right corner, you could see a phone screen. Someone was scrolling, and the image on the screen? My latest post. It was subtle. Blink and you'd miss it. But I didn't miss it. They were watching me. Somewhere between the speeches and the first dance, while they were celebrating a day they told me was better without me. They were quietly checking to see what I was doing, what I had become without them. That night I upped the game. A carousel post. 5 photos. Me at the Musée d'Orsay, standing in front of the massive clock window, sun hitting my face like I belonged in another time. A close-up of duck confit with rosemary potatoes, wine glass barely touched. A quiet moment on the Seine, shoes off, legs stretched, the kind of shot that said, I am unbothered. A black and white bookstore photo, me leafing through a French novel I couldn't read, but looked like I could. One final photo, taken by a stranger I tipped well, me walking away down a cobblestone street at dusk, blazer over my shoulder, looking like I had somewhere to be. Caption. Sometimes, the best RSVP is no reply at all. I let it sit. No hashtags. No geotags. Just that line. 10 minutes later, my sister viewed my story. 20 minutes after that, I got a message from an unfamiliar account, a mutual friend from her bridal party. You really didn't go because they didn't invite you? I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I had done something better than crashing their wedding. I had turned my absence into the main character. By Sunday morning, the wedding was over, and the real party had begun. Not theirs. Mine. Because now came the wave of whispers, the awkward texts, the quiet unraveling of the image they had worked so hard to polish. My Aunt Teresa, the one who never takes sides, messaged me on Facebook. Just curious, were you really not invited? Then my godfather chimed in. Saw your Paris photos. You looked incredible. Honestly can't believe they didn't include you. But the message that hit different came from Rachel, my sister's college friend. We'd always gotten along, had shared a few long conversations over red wine and family chaos during holidays. She DM'd me something simple, but sharp. Just so you know, more people were asking where you were than who made the centerpieces. That one stayed with me. It confirmed something I had long suspected but never had proof of. I was never actually the problem. I was just inconvenient. Too honest. Too unwilling to play the smiling family role while they ignored the cracks. And now, those cracks were beginning to show. I found out later, through a friend of a friend, that my sister had tried to do damage control. She told people I chose not to come. Said I was off doing my own thing. That I was difficult about the dress code. And didn't really vibe with the wedding plans. But the problem was, people had seen the posts. And those posts didn't look like someone sulking on the sidelines. They looked like someone thriving. The comparisons started to roll in. You're in Paris and they did a backyard wedding? Honestly, yours looks like the real celebration. It was brutal, and I didn't say a word. Just kept sipping espresso, strolling through markets, pretending not to notice the quiet fallout. I had spent years being the one in the corner, the one forgotten, the one who kept giving without being seen. And now, without even showing up, I had become impossible to ignore. I spent Monday at a quiet cafe near the Marais district, watching the rain tap gently against the window while I dipped a croissant into black coffee. It was the first real moment I let myself feel it, the stillness, the absence of expectation, the lack of judgment. No one knew me here. No one had a list of ways I was supposed to behave. I wasn't too blunt, or too serious, or not enough. I was just a man in Paris. That's when the phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a cousin or some second-hand wedding guest trying to piece together the drama. It was my mother. I stared at the screen for a while, unsure whether I even wanted to read it. I eventually opened the message. I wish you would have told us you were traveling. We could have worked something out. Everyone missed you this weekend. I read it twice. 3 times. Then I laughed. She didn't even try to deny it. No apology for the months of silence. No acknowledgement of the fact that my own sister had looked me in the eye and said, "It's better without you there." Just, "We could have worked something out." What did that even mean? Like they were willing to throw me a bone if I behaved better? Show up and sit in the back, smile for the photos, and keep quiet while they toasted to a family that I'd never really been part of. No thanks. But it didn't end there. 2 hours later, I got a group text. One I wasn't expecting. It was from my Uncle David, my dad's younger brother. We hadn't talked in years. He'd always been a bit of a black sheep himself, lived across the country, and only came around for the big family events. But apparently, he had been at the wedding. His message read, "Heard you were in Paris. Good call. Honestly, your absence made more noise than your presence ever could have. If you're around when you're back, I'd love to catch up. Some of us get it." That one stuck. I sat with it. Let it sink in. Because that was the whole point, wasn't it? It wasn't just about skipping the wedding. It was about flipping the narrative. About showing them what they'd lost by excluding me. About reclaiming the power they thought they'd taken from me with a single text. And just when I thought I had seen it all, my phone buzzed again. A text from my sister. I didn't even know I still had her number saved. "Hey. I know things got weird. A few people mentioned your trip. I didn't realize you'd take it so personally. If you want to come by the post-wedding brunch tomorrow, it's at Mom's. No pressure. No pressure." Like she was doing me a favor. I set my phone down and looked out the window, watching people pass by under umbrellas, their laughter echoing softly in the narrow street. For a moment I considered it. Not because I wanted to go. But because the idea of showing up, calm and composed, maybe with a tan and some French chocolate in hand, was almost too poetic to resist. But then, I realized something. This wasn't about them anymore. They wanted me to come back and play nice, to let them wrap the story up neatly, to give the appearance that everything was fine. But it wasn't. And the moment I walked into that brunch, I'd be giving them permission to pretend otherwise. So I opened the message. Typed out 2 words. "Can't make it." And that was it. I closed the phone, paid the bill, and stepped back out into the rain. I flew home the next evening. The plane was half full, the window seat empty beside me. I didn't watch a movie. Didn't listen to music. I just sat there, watching the clouds roll past and thinking about how strange it all was, how something so cruel could lead to something that felt like clarity. When I landed and turned my phone off airplane mode, the notifications poured in. Texts, missed calls, tags, even a few friend requests from names I didn't recognize. Probably guests from the wedding who had heard about what he pulled and wanted a closer look at the story. I ignored most of them. But one message caught my eye. It was from Hannah, one of my sister's bridesmaids. We'd never been close, but she had always been kind. The kind of person who listened more than she spoke. Her message was short but honest. "I don't know what happened between you and your family. But you looked peaceful. Really peaceful. I hope you keep that." That word again, peaceful. Funny, isn't it? All my life I'd been called difficult. Cold. Distant. And yet, in the absence of those people, I was finally being seen for what I'd always tried to be. Someone who just wanted peace. I got back to my apartment late. Threw my bag in the corner, opened the windows, and let the city air pour in. It was quiet. Not Paris, not romantic, but mine. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't dread what came next. The next morning, a notification woke me up. A tag. My sister had posted a photo dump from the wedding. All smiles and filters and laughter. I almost scrolled past it. But then I saw the caption. "A perfect day with the people who matter most." The people who matter most. I could have been bitter. I could have commented something cutting, passive-aggressive, sharp enough to bleed. But I didn't. Because here's the thing, you don't have to burn the bridge if you already learned to swim. So instead, I posted one last photo. Just one. Me standing in front of my apartment window, holding a coffee mug, wearing the same quiet smile I had in Paris. Caption. Home again. And not missing a thing. No names. No hashtags. Just closure. And within an hour, 3 of my cousins unfollowed my sister. It was 3 days later, just enough time for the dust to settle, when the unexpected happened. I got an email. Not a text, not a DM. An actual email, from my father. He never emailed me. He barely texted, unless it was a forwarded meme he didn't understand or a chain message from 2007. But this one had a subject line. Let's talk. I opened it slowly, bracing myself. Your sister regrets how things went. Your mother and I think it got out of hand. We know you're hurt. We didn't mean to exclude you, not entirely. We just thought, maybe you'd prefer not to come, with how things have been. Anyway, we're hosting a small get-together next weekend. Just family and a few friends. It would mean a lot if you came by. Let's start over. I read it twice. Not entirely? So they hadn't accidentally forgotten me, they had just convinced themselves I wouldn't notice. Or worse, that I wouldn't be missed. And now that people had noticed? Now that their curated image had cracked at the edges, and others had started asking questions, now they wanted to start over. I thought about the years I'd spent proving myself. About the way they always made me feel like the noise they wished they could mute. The awkward tension in family photos. The quiet relief when I said I couldn't make it. They never wanted me at that wedding. They just didn't expect my absence to echo so loudly. I stared at the email for a long time. Then, without thinking, I began to type. Thanks for the invitation. I won't be coming. I don't think it's about starting over. I think it's about finally admitting what's been true for a long time. We're different people. You don't have to apologize. I'm not angry anymore. But I've learned something you never quite taught me. Boundaries. Enjoy the get-together. I'll be elsewhere, living my life, the one you never quite approved of, but one I've come to love. I hit send. Closed my laptop. And for the first time in years, I didn't wait for a reply.